It's hard to say what rouses me. Sometimes I open my eyes as if it were any night at home in my bed, where a grackle would be cawing outside even though it was midnight, and I would want to go to the bathroom and get a drink of water or turn the light on and read my comic book, The Vault of Horror. It was my favorite. I put my name in it so no one would steal it. But here, there is no light and no bed. There is only the cool breeze of the forest, the chill wind of winter, and the heat of August. It is in August that I am roused by my nightmare, my real nightmare. I feel the knife slashing me and the hand choking me, and then I have to wander the woods until I reach the road. I have relived it so many times that I can't count. So many times I can barely feel the cuts. What troubles me now is the confusion and betrayal, even though it was no one I knew. On those nights, when I reach the road, I stand and watch as a car passes. I can't see the driver behind the headlights, but I am sure they can see me. The lights shine onto me, and I see my gray hands. Mostly, they keep going as if nothing had ever happened. Sometimes they turn around and drive by again, but by then, I am gone. Only a few times did someone stop down the road and get out, but when they saw me walking toward them, they got in their car and sped away. But I am sure they have all seen me, even the ones who didn't change speed or swerve away. A 10-year-old boy, pale and small, standing by the side of the road, covered in blood. How do they miss me? They see me and are afraid to stop. They don't know what they have seen. Maybe they call the police because sometimes a police car comes and looks around, and the next day there are people to search. But by then I have dissolved into the woods and I can barely see them, if at all. When I awake without the pain, I am sitting by a tree, one whose roots have grown into my bones, and I am not wounded. Usually I sit and wait until dawn when I disappear. But sometimes, once every few years I think, I walk down to the store. It's not really like walking. I feel like I'm moving my legs, but my feet don't touch the ground to move me. It's mostly my thought that makes me move. Sometimes then, when they can only see me from behind, a car will stop. The driver thinks I must be lost, I guess. I'm simply a pale and gray figure when they see me from behind, and they think I need help. But when they see me from the front, when they look at the blood, and most of all if I glance up at them, they flee. Usually when I hear them put on their brakes, I disappear, and they call or even walk back to find me, and they find nothing. But sometimes I don't. I tell them I need help, and they say I should get in the car so they can take me to the police. Then I disappear, though, because I got in the car, and that's how I got here. So I just have to smile and laugh, and they run away. Or I concentrate and put myself back under the tree. At some time long ago, they started getting strange about it. They say they will call on something they have in their pocket, and they talk to it like a walkie-talkie, but more like it's a phone. I don't know what it is, and I go away. I can't remember how all that goes. I forget and remember, and it all smushes together. There are times when no one sees me, though, and I get to the store. I go in, and I have to pretend I am walking because I don't really touch the ground. I know they will all be terrified if they look at me closely, so I get a candy bar and put it on the counter and keep my eyes down. Sometimes I can't pick anything up, and I walk in and out. But other times I can, and I put it on the counter, and when they ask for the money, I say, "Please, I don't have any." The person usually gets very scared. Sometimes they say I have to pay, and I say the same thing again, and then they either say to just take it, or they back up and away from the register and say nothing. So I take the candy and walk out. There's nothing I can do with it. I can't eat it, and there's nowhere for me to put it. So I go back to the woods and throw it on the ground and pretend I am going back to bed. Really, I go into the ground, and there I forget everything for a long time. If they insist on the money, I just leave. I don't want to look them in the eye. Except today I do. I was on the road today and someone stopped and got out. And then I started to laugh at him. And he said, "It's that kid." Someone got out of the passenger side, a woman, and whispered something. But they don't know I can hear all their whispers. She said, "Are you serious? The highway kid?" And the man said, "Yes, I'm going to talk to him." He didn't wait for an answer, though, and he came toward me and started calling my name. "Richie? Is it you? Richie? I'm not here to hurt you." I was afraid of him. Everyone always ran away from me. Why didn't he? He walked toward me cautiously, his hands up. I looked up and stared, but he did not run. "Are you Richie Evans from 115 Sycamore Street? Are you the one who disappeared?" He kept walking. He was scared, but he did not give up. He got close and he said, "Did you get put here?" Finally, I screamed, "I didn't disappear," and I ran toward him. He jumped out of the way and I crashed into the trunk of his car, and then I disappeared in a cloud of smoke. I couldn't see it, but I know that happened because I floated freely for a while and couldn't hear or see. And when I woke up, I was back at the tree, sitting, and I went down to the roots. So that didn't happen tonight. That happened days ago or weeks. I can't tell because the season hasn't changed and everything looks mostly the same. Although that could mean a year has gone by. I can never tell. It's exhausting to appear, and when I do, I have to rest for a long time. But today, I have gone to the store, and I do not want to leave. So I speak for the third time. I'm just asking for a candy bar. It's not that big a deal. I'm just a kid, and I want one. I can tell the guy behind the counter is afraid. His voice shakes as he says, "You have to pay. You better go, kid. Just go." So finally, I lift my eyes to his, and he freezes with terror. "I just want a candy bar," I say. "The store has tons of candy bars. Why can't you let me have one? I'm just a kid." The man collapses behind the counter and says, "Just take it. Just go. Please go. I don't care about the candy bar. I'll pay for it." And I take it, but then I go around the counter. There's a little gate there about waist high, but I just have to go through it. I look at him and I get angry. "Why wouldn't you just give it to me the first time?" I say. "Why not?" And he starts crying. I open the bar and shove it in his face. "You're paying for it. You eat it," I say. He faints and then I go back outside, and partway down the road I turn into a cloud, and then I am back at my tree. And I go down to the roots. That was a long time ago. I know because the man in the car came to the forest a few times. I could feel him walking around above me, calling my name. I could even hear him digging with a steel spade in a few places. Sometimes I wanted to answer, but I was too tired. He stopped coming. Until August on my day of anguish. Then he was there again. My day of anguish is the day it happened. I am always awake that day, but I never leave the woods. I never even go to the road. I just wake up in the passenger seat of a car. I have my Vault of Horror comic, and I have money to get my next issue and some candy, and someone has given me a ride. But he didn't take me to my store. He drove me far away, and then he hit me, and when I woke up, I was under a blanket in the front seat. And then he dragged me into these woods and strangled me and cut me, and when I died, he buried me in a deep, deep grave. He showed it to me before he did it. "I've been working on it for weeks," he said. "Think of it. All the time you've been playing and running around, this hole has been getting deeper and deeper." And he said a few more things as he made me look at it. And then when he had cut me and I went away, he threw me in. And then a little sapling grew, and its roots went through my bones, and that is my home. And on this day, I wake up in the car, and it happens over and over all day. There's no escaping it, just enduring it. And the pain is familiar. So what bothers me now, I said what bothers me now, the confusion and the betrayal. Why would he do this? Who was he? And the man is there above me on the ground. I can hear his footsteps and his voice. And they come near and go away and come back again, but always a little nearer. And I can feel that he has stopped at my tree and is calling my name. I have already been in the car that day over and over. They happen at the same time. I am in the car, but I can also feel him standing by the tree. And this time, before I am thrown into the pit, I grab the man's jacket and hold it tight. He can't see me at first, but he knows I'm there. He turns around and around trying to see me, but I just say, I am here. And he stops moving. He puts his hand where mine is on his jacket, but it goes through it. I focus as hard as I can and I appear. And when he sees me, he grabs my jacket and holds the lapels. I see the terror in his eyes as he looks at the blood and then sees my eyes, but he does not let go. Are you Richie? Yes, I say. And then I say, he is killing me. And the man looks around in a circle, and for a moment he sees my tormentor and bellows at him, roars like a lion. And the man, the hateful man, turns black and crumbles away. And finally, I am free from him on my day of anguish. Where are you? Where are you really? Your bones. The man is still holding my lapels. I point to the base of the tree. I know who did this, he said. I know. I have been seeking you for a long time. I am getting weak. I am tired, like I have been awake for days and cannot keep my eyes open. Don't leave, he said. My energy was draining away and I couldn't keep myself visible. Soon, I was in my little home in the roots. But he kept talking and I could barely hear him. He said he moved to a new house. He found a comic book, The Vault of Horror, and it had my name. It was in the floorboards. And so he had set out to find me so he could put me to rest. There were stories of the boy by the road, and he drove down that road 100 times looking for me and finally found me that one night. He kept saying, I found him, Richie, and then I found you. But there were other things under the floorboards. Do you know whose they were? That's what I heard. He said it many times. I was asleep then, deep asleep. My energy was gone from that day. But I could hear Spade shoveling by the tree, and it got nearer and nearer. I think it took days or maybe years or weeks. And then he found one of my bones and took it away. It felt like he had torn my leg off when he took it, and I cried in my bed of roots. But then there were more people, and they took away the tree with a machine, and slowly took my bones and put them in a box, all ordered correctly, and the pain went away. I could see the box, and I thought it was funny how my skull seemed so small. My comic was in my hand, under the bones of my hand, and I went to into the box and went to sleep. But there were people all around me that I didn't know but were related to me. They spoke to me one by one, and the man was there too, and whispered to me that I must come back to the forest in 3 days to see what he was going to do. They took me to a graveyard and buried me, and I was ready to sleep. But the man had spoken to me. I must come back in 3 days. And so when they buried me, I roused myself once more and walked to the tree. It was tiring, and I only wanted to sleep, and I don't know if it was 3 days. He was sitting at the hole where my tree used to be. There was another hole that a machine had dug that was farther into the woods. The man's head snapped up as I approached. He could not see me, but he felt my presence. There was a bag on the ground. He said, "Richie, these are his bones. These are the bones of the man who hurt you. I got them from his grave with the help of my friends, and he will not rest well, never again. I am going to throw them in the hole." He dumped the bones in the hole in a heap, and then he started shoveling dirt over them. There was dirt all around from the digging, but he also had a pickup truck filled with loam and gravel and broken glass. "His disordered bones will cause him torment forever," he said, "until the end of the earth. And the glass and gravel will cut him if he tries to rise from the hole and haunt the world. He is gone forever and will pay for what he did until the end of time." With my last ounce of strength, I forced myself to appear one last time on the other side of the hole, and I said, "Thank you." "Do you know the others?" he said. But I did not know the others, and I shook my head. I felt myself dissolving, and I heard him say, "Wait, the others. There were others, other things under the floorboards. Do you know whose they were?" But I did not know, and I could not keep myself from going away. I shake my head again, and I disappeared into a cloud of smoke. And though I couldn't hear or see, I feel myself floating to my grave, and I will go to my box, and I will sleep.